Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to the channel and to another feature video. Last time out we covered the disastrous race at Texas in 2001, so if you haven't already, check that one out. Don't forget, if there was a driver, team or topic you'd like us to look at in the future, comment below.
Now today's video starts our month of feature videos focusing on the Indy 500, as the month of May is all about the greatest spectacle in racing. Today we look at one of the greatest drivers to drive the Speedway and arguably one of the most important men in its history. That man is Wilbur Shaw, a legend of the Indy 500.
Wilbur was born in Shelbyville, Indiana on October 31st, 1902. He turned to racing in unusual fashion. Shaw wanted to enlist with the army during World War I, but was turned away due to being too young. He quit high school in pursuit of a job that would offer him excitement. He would start to work in auto shops that built race cars in the hope that one day he would get to race them. But in the meantime, he would learn all about the mechanical and engineering side of racing. In 1922, he would start his racing career on dirt track ovals, as this was where he would learn his trade as a driver. In 1927, he would finally get to drive the big one, the Indianapolis 500. He would finish fourth in that first race at the Brickyard, sharing his ride with other Indy 500 legend Louis Meyer, and this performance was enough to cement his place amongst the top drivers of the time. The following year, Shaw was entered in a Miller, which was one of the best chassis of the time, but had to pull out of the ride due to funding issues. That drive could have been his first 500 win, as that car went on to victory in the hands of Louis Meyer, who secured his first win at the Speedway. Through the early 30s, though, the Indy 500 was not a happy hunting ground for Shaw, as a mixture of crashes and mechanical retirements plagued his attempts to win the ultimate prize in American open wheel racing. However, he would secure a second place finish in 1933. That would be his best career result at the Speedway to date.
In 1937, Shaw had earned enough money to build his own race car for that year's entry at Indianapolis, and it would prove to be a successful choice, as he would win his first Indy 500 crown of his career, 10 years after his first race at the historic track. In 1939 and 1940, Wilbur won again, becoming the second driver in the history to win the event 3 times after Louis Meyer, and the first driver in the history of the race to secure back-to-back wins. In 1941, in the pursuit of a record 4th Indy 500 win and first to achieve 3 back-to-back wins, he would battle for the lead, though unfortunately he would crash after a wheel broke. The morning of the race, there had been a fire in the garages, and before this, Wilbur's crew had checked his equipment and had written on a tyre that looked out of balance, "Use last." Unfortunately for Wilbur, with the fire crew putting out the fire, they also washed away the note on the tyre to avoid use, and this was the tyre that cost Wilbur the race.
Not only did it cost Shaw the race, but also his racing career, as 3 vertebrae were crushed in the accident, and although he made a recovery, he would never race competitively again. He would go into manufacturing of airplane tyres, but his heart was not in it. His heart was at Indianapolis. Wilbur's last 500 was the last race before the United States involvement in the Second World War, and president of the Speedway of the time, Eddie Rickenbacker, locked up the gates and let the racecourse slowly disintegrate. Shaw had been hired by Firestone for a tyre test at Indianapolis and was shocked at the state the track had been allowed to deteriorate to. Shaw arranged a meeting with Rickenbacker to find out his plans for the circuit, and he informed Wilbur of his plans to demolish the remainder of the circuit and turn it into housing. While Shaw was determined to not let this be the fate of the Brickyard, so he sent out letters to all of the major car manufacturers, but they all returned with the concept of turning it into a private test track for the companies and not continue its life as a racetrack.
But then Wilbur met Tony Holman, a businessman who had inherited the family business, Holman and Company, which was a wholesale grocer, producer of coffee and baking powder, Clabbergirl. Well, Tony was a racing fan and had been his entire life, and was sold on the idea by Shaw, and in November 1965 he bought the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for $750,000. As a reward for his determination to revive the track, Wilbur was appointed president for the circuit. he would use all his experience and extensive knowledge of auto racing to help return the 500 as the greatest spectacle in racing. Holman and Shaw would be a fantastic partnership for the Indianapolis in the early post-war years. Tony would pour investment into the track, and Wilbur would help grow the 500 and its numbers year on year with his fantastic day-to-day management of the venue. Holman would always give the credit to him for the success of the event, as well as he freely admitted he did not have the auto racing expertise to improve the event like Shaw did. In 1954, this partnership was sadly come to a sudden end when Wilbur lost his life in an airplane crash just one day before his 52nd birthday.
Shaw had left an everlasting legacy in American open wheel history. On track, he had competed with and beaten the best in the business, taking the prestigious win of the Indy 500 3 times as a driver. This alone would have had his achievements remembered for all time. Off track though, arguably, he did something even more special. He saved the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If it had not been for his desire to not see the great racetrack turned into housing and be a footnote in the sport's history, the face of IndyCar may be a whole lot different today. But because of what he did in managing and growing the event after the Second World War till his death, we have seen the event continue to grow and grow. Legendary races and drivers leave their mark at the Brickyard, and it to continue to be one of the most sought after achievements in any racer's career. So thank you, Wilbur Shaw, for saving the greatest spectacle in racing.
And that's it for today's video, guys. We hope you've enjoyed finding out about the life and influence of one of the legends of the Indy 500. Don't forget, if there's a driver, team or topic you'd like us to look at in the future, comment down below.
And if they're new around here or haven't done so already,
they can like, subscribe and ding that bell.
Ding it! So for now, you Indy fans, keep racing!